من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا خاتم النبيين المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Today, brothers and sisters, as you all know, we will go through some of the benefits of Surat An-Nur. Of course, we won't go through the whole surah, but I've just taken a few things which I think we can benefit from in this short time that we have, about an hour, inshallah ta'ala, in this muhadara. And on the first few ayat or verses of Surat An-Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the qissatul ifq, the story of ifq, which is where the Prophet ﷺ went out in a ghazwa, in a battle. And sometimes the Prophet ﷺ would take one of his wives with him, radiyallahu anhum. And in this instance, Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha went with the Prophet ﷺ. When Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she was on her camel, and there was this kind of box that would kind of cover her, be a hijab for her. And so no one could really see her. And while they stopped at one of the stops, of course an army stops on its journey, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha went to the side, she went away from her camel to fulfill her needs, and she came back to where the army was. And of course the Sahaba did not notice she was gone. Why? Because in this box you couldn't see her anyway. So this box was on the camel, and they left and the army went. Safwan came behind the army. So as the army left, Aisha radiallahu anha came. She thought, right, they're going to notice me that I'm gone, and then they're going to come back for me. And when they come back for me, then I'll go with them. So what I'll do, instead of walking in the middle of the desert, which is dangerous, I'll just stay at the point where the army was, where the army stopped. I remember she was still young, radiallahu ta'ala. And Safwan stayed behind the army. And sometimes what some armies would do is that they'd keep someone behind the army to make sure that everything's going well. Someone needs help, someone needs to put his things on the camel, someone, just so everything goes right. There's someone who stays behind. And of those people who stayed behind and was following the army from behind was someone called Safwan. So far there's an army of the Prophet ﷺ. They left Aisha there by accident. They didn't notice she was gone. Safwan comes and finds Aisha there. So I'll explain what Qissatul Ifk is all about, because it's all about this story. Yeah, so Aisha waits, and then Safwan comes, and then Safwan realizes who it is, Aisha. And it said that they were both young in Mecca. They were both kind of knew each other, or rather they recognized each other, I suppose, because they were both young and from Mecca, from the same city and so on. So he knew it was Aisha radiallahu anha, even though she was niqab and so on. And so what he did is the only thing he could do, which was make his camel kneel. She didn't speak to him and he didn't speak to her. She got onto the camel and he walked in front of the camel holding its reins until they reached to where the Prophet ﷺ was, following their track behind the army. And of course, she got to the Prophet ﷺ and everything was normal and nobody assumed anything. Except, of course, in that army, in that jaysh, were munafiqeen. Munafiqeen, the hypocrites. For those who don't know who the hypocrites are, they are those who pretended to be Muslim, but within them, they were really disbelievers. So in Mecca, you wouldn't have these people who pretended to be Muslims because there was no benefit in that. But in Medina, there was benefit of people pretending to be Muslims on the inside, even though on the inside, they were disbelievers. And of course, we know that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala was light as well. So even if they picked that box to put it back onto the camel, they wouldn't have noticed that she was gone, because of course in those days, before the Battle of Khaybar, she was light. And of course after the Battle of Khaybar, she used to say, we started to eat or fill after the Battle of Khaybar with dates, of course, because there were many dates that they won from the spoils of war after winning the war at Khaybar. So when Safwan took Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha to the army, the hypocrites started to spread rumors, bad rumors, that Aisha's with him, alone, and accused her wrongfully, accused her of actually doing something. Yes, and of course you all understand what it means, yeah? Or accused her of doing something, and they say today, if anyone who does that today, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed ayat in her, proving her innocence, they say, many scholars said, anyone who says that today, who accuses Aisha today, that is kufr, because now you're disbelieving in the ayat of Quran, which we'll come to soon. So when the hypocrites start spreading these rumors, as what happens, people are tricked into those rumors. Yeah, people take on these rumors as if they're real truths. And so some of the Muslims, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Usbah, a group of Muslims, not necessarily a huge group, but a group of Muslims fell into this trick. So they were tricked and deceived into thinking, whoa, something really happened, how could this happen? And they started to also talk about this subject. While the other Muslims, they said, Subhanallah, Subhanak, you're saying this about a Muslim? They were free from this, and they basically said, she is free from this. They were like, this is impossible, and how can someone ever even accuse her of doing this? And this was, of course, because of their iman that led her to do this. Now, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha did not need, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with her, did not know of these accusations at first. So she went back with the army after their trip. They went back, and she's living as normal with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not knowing about these rumors that are going around. And as a test, ibtila, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and remember, the better a person is, the more iman he has, belief, and the closer he is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more the person is tested. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was clearly tested here. Why? Because the nation stopped for a small while as well. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he was in wait for this to bring some ayat to clear the situation up, and people were talking, and Aisha radiallahu anha still hadn't heard of this until, of course, she went to fulfill her needs. Now in those days, this was before the toilets were in the house, in Medina. Same with Aisha radiallahu anha. So what the women used to do, from night to night, they used to go and fulfill their needs at nights where they can't be seen. When the sun goes down, from night to night, they will go and fulfill their needs. There used to be in front of what we call Jannatul Baqi. I'm not sure in the other cultures they call it Jannatul Baqi, but what it's really called traditionally is Baqi'ul Gharqad, where the Sahaba are buried, the graveyard in Medina, right next to Medina, Al-Munawwarah, where the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in and others are buried. It's called Baqi'ul Gharqad, and Al-Gharqad is a tree, and I'll explain that in a few moments. So in front of the graveyard between the Prophet Masjid and Baqi'ul Gharqad, or Jannat al-Baqi as many of us know it, there was kind of greenery there. Plants, greenery, grass, as we know today, trees. And most of the trees was a tree called Gharqad, which is a tree that is loved by the people of the book, rather the Jewish community specifically. And the Gharqad tree, the Prophet tells us about the Bani Israel, that in the end of times when the Dajjal comes and of course the battle happens, there's going to be a time when the Muslims win, and then they pursue the disbelievers to kill them. And the Bani Israel would pursue the Jews, the Bani Israel, and this is a hadith of the Prophet, this is a part of our religion, this is in our books of hadith, and they will try to hide. And when they hide, the trees and the stones will tell the Muslim, he's over here. They will try to hide, and the stones and the trees will say, oh Muslim, this disbeliever is here hiding behind me. These things would actually be made to speak. Because of course, remember those times at the end of times, Isa alayhi salam will come. There are many miracles, many things that will be seen at those times. So this wouldn't be a big thing when you're reading what happens at the end of times. Then what happens is that the Gharqad tree will not do that. Yeah, the garka tree loves them and they love the garka tree. There was lots of, I remember there was a Jewish community in Medina as well. So many of the trees in that place where they used to fulfill their needs, go for toilet basically, was the garka tree. So it's called Baqi' al-Garqad. Yeah, this area where the graveyard is. And they used to fulfill their needs there. Now the mother of Misbah, I think Misbah went out with Aisha and they kind of related to within that tribe, within that wider family, with one Allah alayhim ajma'in. And so Aisha went with her to Baqi' al-Garqad, and at night time, and of course I think she nearly tripped and she said something about Misbah. And Aisha radiallahu anha said, you just said something against the Badri, someone who fought in Battle of Badr. I remember the people who fought in the Battle of Badr, we hope they are forgiven for their sins. Yeah, inshallah, all of their sins are forgiven, and they are the highest level of Muslims. All their sins are forgiven, inshallah ta'ala, and they are the highest level of Muslims of the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. And he said, you just said that against someone from the Battle of Badr, Badri yani. And then she kind of let her know what was going on. Why? Because Misbah was of those Muslims who made that mistake and was tricked by the hypocrites to actually start speaking about this matter. So when she came home, she started to, hear these, she started to realize that people are saying this about her. She's very her. She's the wife of the Prophet. I said, the Prophet was her. So she asked her, I said, let me go stay with my family. So she went and she stayed with her family. And who is her father? The father of Aisha? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the best of all Muslims after the Prophets and Messengers. So she went and stayed there. And as the story goes, which we'll do in a summarized version, the Prophet was waiting. He asked for advice from Ali ibn Abi Talib, Usama bin Zayd. Usama bin Zayd was like, we know nothing except good from your family. Ali ibn Abi Talib was like, he didn't say anything bad, but you said, there's plenty of women. Yes, as if you want to marry some more women, it's not a problem for you. Not in a bad way, yes. Though Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha certainly seemed a bit bothered by that. And then Barira came and she said as well, we know nothing bad about your family, and I know nothing bad about her except that sometimes as a young woman, she would sometimes fall asleep, and then a kind of animal will come, domesticated animal, whether it's chicken, cat, or small goats, would come and eat from the dough, from the flour. That's all we know. Otherwise, even that's not really a bad thing, yes? We know nothing but good about your family. And then, of course, the ayat came in bearing witness to the innocence of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, and that those people who lied upon the Prophet's wife, al-qadh is called, when you accuse someone of committing fornication. So that the hadd al-qadh came, hadd al-qadhif, the one who accuses someone of fornication. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the ayat and says there must be 4 witnesses. 4 witnesses. And remember the 4 witnesses, they must see everything, and all 4 must come. And whoever says this without 4 righteous witnesses, then they are liars in Allah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their witnesses not, and they are of the fasiqeen, so their witness will never be accepted. Because remember, as we mentioned in our lessons here, that's the fasiq, the one who is known for his fisq, for his disobedience, rebelliousness, sinfulness, openly sinning, major sins, and so on. And in this case as well, because they will be liars in the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their witness is like nothing. So if 4 witnesses came and one of them was a fasiq, it's like he's not even there. There's only 3 witnesses in that case. So with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these people are fasiqeen who spread this lie. And so the hadd al-qadh or hadd al-qadhif, the punishment that they receive is 80 lashes. So the Prophet ﷺ, after receiving this revelation, he then punished those people, did that punishment upon them for those who said this to the Prophet about the Prophet ﷺ's wife, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you think this is bad for you, but look, it's not really bad for you. It's good for you. I think, how is this good? And it's because for every single time there's a had or some sort of to the Prophet ﷺ, there's always a sabab, a reason why those ayat come down to Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this was that reason that was needed for these new rulings to come down and to explain the whole situation, that there needs to be 4 witnesses. And now Aisha radiallahu anha is very prideful on the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from above the heavens bears witness to her innocence. Till Yawm al-Qiyamah we will be reading how innocent she is. And this was a great source of pride for Zainab radiallahu anha, one of the other wives of the Prophet used to have pride as well, saying that Allah got us married. There was no walima here on this earth. Allah got her married. And the party was up there with the angels. Yeah, not here. So she used to say that, and Aisha radiallahu anha used to reply, and Allah from above the heavens bore witness to my innocence as well. So it became a source of pride for her. And the munafiqeen, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that they would have a grave punishment in the hereafter. So while the Muslims, they were sinful, the munafiqeen who spread these lies, who tricked the Muslims into these lies, they will have a grave punishment in the hereafter. And Abu Bakr Siddiq, one of the best Muslims who fell into this mistake, Misbah, he was, I believe he was a cousin of his, so he has an auntie and it's the auntie's son. And he used to give him money because he was poor. And when this happened, and he found out that this person accused my daughter of doing such, he said, Wallahi, he promised, he did an oath by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm not going to give him any more money. I won't give him, la anfuq alayh, I will not give him any more money. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed from the 10 ayat about this whole qissa, this whole event. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, وَلَا يَأْتَلِ أُولُو الْفَضْلِ مِنْكُمْ وَالسَّعَةِ أَنْ يُؤْتُوا أُولِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْمُهَاجِرِينَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, would you not love that Allah forgives you and He is the forgiving, the merciful? He is forgiving and merciful. Will you not love that Allah forgives you? And Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu found out that these ayat were revealed. And concerning him and Misbah, he said, yes, by Allah. By Allah. So he did an oath again. By Allah, I would love that Allah forgives me. And then he started to give him a regular supply of money again, as he was someone who was poor and who needed it. And of course, when we do oaths, there is a way out of it. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a way out of it. If you ever make an oath to stop doing something good, you're allowed to break that, and there's some conditions which we won't go through today, inshallah ta'ala. So this was the attack on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's family. That's all this was. The munafiqeen were there, they did it like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they just went along with the flow, pretended they were Muslims because they were getting benefits. And the reason why they accused Aisha was nothing other than they wanted to attack the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They disbelieved in the message he came with. They wanted to attack his person because they wanted to attack that message, because they have decided to reject that message and disbelieve in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed evil words are for evil men, and evil men are subjected to evil words, and good men are an object of good words. These good people are declared innocent of what the slanders say. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha is made innocent of what the Al-Qadhifun say, the other people who slander her. For them is forgiveness and noble provision, meaning those who will slander Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha will have forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So some of the scholars also said that good people are married to good people. A good husband usually finds a good wife, and a bad person usually is married to a bad person. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Az-Zani, the one who commits fornication does not marry anyone who accepts to commit fornication. Yes, or a mushrik, an idol worshipper. The woman who commits fornication, لا ينكحها إلا زان أو مشرك. And the woman who commits fornication does not no one marries her except the one who is a fornicator or a mushrik. And nowadays, subhanAllah, we see this in our community here in the West today, where people If you work, whether you're delivering deliveries or you're working Uber or anywhere, you have some sort of connection with the community. You can see sometimes there are people who are Muslim or who were Muslims when they were born, and they are living with people who they should not be living with. A woman cannot get married to a mushrik. And some of the scholars even said, just like the Ahlul Kitab, the woman should be chaste when they marry her if she's not from Islam or not Muslim. Women from cannot marry. Yeah, the Muslim women cannot marry a non-Muslim. But that's it, full stop. But the man, even when it comes to the Muslims, and this is an opinion, the woman should be chaste as well. So if she's known as a Zaniya, then she should do tawbah and then you should marry her. Otherwise, you shouldn't marry her. And some said it's impermissible to marry her until she does tawbah. Allahu ta'ala. And this is, of course, one opinion. And I've heard other than that as well. Allahu a'lam. So the hypocrites. Another spot speaks, about those who purify those souls. You can't purify those souls unless you try and Allah wills it. And of course, purifying your soul is, of course, wanting the truth, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and doing it in the way of the Quran and the Sunnah, not in the way of, many of these people do. And I don't want to make anything controversial, but we have to warn about these things because it's our job. It doesn't mean if you see anybody who says, come for the tasqiyat al-nafs, you walk in the masjid and everyone's dancing, do yourself a favor and walk back home. That's not how you do it. Do you think the Sahaba would do that? Start banging their heads, ripping their old clothes, doing all this crazy stuff, saying, oh, we have this part. There's many things I can speak about. Well, this is not the time or the place, inshallah. But do yourself a favor, this is not the tasqiyat al-nafs, this is something else. And you'll be wasting your time and possibly falling into sin. And the munafiqeen will be في الدرك الأسفل. في الدرك الأسفل. In Jahannam, just like heaven, Jannah has levels, Jahannam has levels as well. And the munafiqeen, the hypocrites, will be on the bottom level of Jahannam. They will have the worst punishment, and they will be placed in a box, a coffin made of iron. And they will be punished in that one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all husn al-khatimah, every single one of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us in the state of Iman, Islam, Iman, and grant us a good and husn al-khatimah. Ameen ya Rabb. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to Surat An-Nur, Ayat An-Nur. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we speak about the Nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse, some said, Allahu nuru as-samawati wal-ard, mathalu nurihi kamishkatin fiha misbah. So Allah is Nur. What is the Nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So Allah is Nur, yes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Nur, and the hijab that He has put in front of Him is Nur as well. And if it wasn't that hijab, that barrier that He has put in front of the creation, everything would have it would have been destroyed just from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We won't be able to handle it. Not the earth, not Saturn, not anything. If it wasn't for that barrier, and for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before His wajh, before Himself, that He has put between the creation and Him, we would have just been destroyed. Everything from the makhluqat would have just been destroyed. But our His mercy has put this barrier, so we are not just destroyed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some of the mufassirin also say, in another qira'ah, Allahu nawwara as-samawati wal-ard. Yeah, He enlightened the heavens and the earth. And some of them said, if it wasn't for Allah, basically, there will be no light. There will be no nur. And of course, this is obvious, alhamdulillah. So the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, some of the mufassirin said, it's like when you say Bayt Allah, the masjid, just like that, it says, Allahu nur as-samawati wal-ard. Yes, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's nur, but we're saying like when we say Kitab Allah or Bayt Allah and so on, Shahrullah. Yeah, it's just connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give it that honor, that ta'zeem. And so, this is what this means as well, Nur Allah. So what is the Nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's His guidance. It's Iman that is put in the hearts of the messengers and the believers. It is His guidance. Yes, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guidance. As He guides people, min al-dhulumati, from darkness, ila al-nur, to the light. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes people from misguidance, yes, deviation from the darkness, ila al-nur, to guidance and His, to have Iman in him. So the mu'min has Iman in his heart, belief, has the Quran in his heart. This is what it means by An-Nur. Yeah, so this is what the Nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Yeah, belief and so on. Now, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, مَثَلُ نُورِهِ كَمِشْكَاةٍ فِيهَا مِصْبَاحٌ. What does mishkat mean? So the like of his nur, he's given us a parable here, a liking, yes? Al-mishkat, first of all, some of the Mufassirin said quwwa or kawwa, not with a qaf, that means strength. Quwwa, a qawwa is like a hole in the wall. Now some of them made it the same meaning as mishkatun, but those in the Arabic language say they're a bit different. So the quwwa is a small hole in the wall like a window, and it goes to the outside. It's made in the wall for the sake of light, and it's made for ventilation as well, and so on. Like any small opening. And it's narrated it was narrated that in the end time of the Prophet ﷺ, he actually looked through a quwwa, a small hole in the building, to see the Muslims while they were praying. At that time, of course, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu was leading the Muslims in prayer, and it's said that he was supported because he wanted to look, and he looked through this hole in the wall and saw that the Muslims were praying, of course, because the Prophet ﷺ, after all of those years, 23 years now, he's falling ill, his job is done, the surah إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ came, and people realized, like Ibn Abbas from their wisdom, this means it's the end, yeah? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. And when you see people entering into the religion with waves, so people understood from that, and that the deen has been perfected, yeah? From these ayat, these verses, people realize if the deen is perfect, what is left? The Prophet ﷺ has done his job, and here the Prophet ﷺ was looking at the fruits of his efforts. A community that is going to continue without him, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And this is how the message came down to us. He only lived a few days, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in that last period of illness, and then he passed away, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then Abu Bakr Siddiq was the next leader and the next Khalifa, as we all know. So the mishkatun is different to that. The mishkatun is what you may see is a kind of dent in the wall. Yeah, so it's like it goes into the wall, but it doesn't go out to the outside. Yeah, you might put some things there. Yeah, a place specially there for the lamp. Yeah, you can put like a shelf. Back in the day, instead of having shelves out, they just put like a little hole in the wall, and mushrikeen would actually put an idol there. Yeah, like a place where it can be seen. Yeah, but of course, this one is made specially for a lamp. Fihi misbah. Yeah. So fiha misbah. And in this aklov, it's called aklov. In this aklov, there's a lamp. Misbah. والمصباح نعم المصباح في زجاجة. المصباح, this lamp is in a glass, and this glass is transparent, it's bright, it's shining. كوكب دري. كوكب دري is a star that is shining, it's very bright. So this lamp is in this place that I clove, and it's this lamp with its glass is something that's so shiny, it's like a shining star. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الزجاجة كأنها كوكب المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة. So it is lightened by the olive tree. But what does it mean by the olive tree? It means here that this olive tree لا شرقية ولا غربية. It is not the east or the west. And many of you may have read this ayah before, maybe in English or even reading it, and many of you may have thought, what does this even mean? It's a beautiful ayah. This is why I have chosen it, and it's why the whole surah is called Surat An-Nur, because of this ayah. So we have a lamp, and it's a cloth glass that's covering this lamp, very shiny like a bright star, and the oil in this lamp is from a blessed olive tree, not of the east or the west, because the sun is always shining on it, it's never in its shade. So it's not in the east, so when the sun is in the west, it's in its shade or won't get anything. It's rather as if it's in the middle, as some Mufassirin said, like it's in Sham in Syria. Yeah, so when the sun rises, it's shining on it, and when it goes to the other side, from the east to the west, it's still shining on it. So it's always shining on this tree, which means this oil will be very good, yeah, the best of oil. And so the oil that supplies this lamp, with its petrol, with its oil, yes, is of the purest and clearest type from this tree. Yeah, it is very pure. So it's so pure, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُضِيءُ لَوْ لَمْ تَمْسَسْهُ نَارٌ. يعني زيتها, its oil from this blessed tree, olive tree, is so clear, is so pure as if it was going to ignite in and of itself. It's so pure as if it's lighting its light itself, as if it's going to ignite in and of itself. It's so pure, so clean. Then he says, نُورٌ عَلَى نُور, meaning when it's already nearly ready to burst into flames, ignites by itself, and then the fire comes, and then it touches it, نُورٌ عَلَى نُور. It's already ready to go, and as soon as the fire comes, it نُورٌ عَلَى نُور. So what does this all actually mean? What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to telling us here? And he tells us, and he says at the end, وَيَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالَ لِلنَّاسِ. So he's giving an example here, but what is the example? What does it all mean? So we mentioned that a clove in the wall, and this is meant to be the chest of the believer. So you know that a clove, when you put a lamp there, what happens? The light doesn't go everywhere, it collects in that place. So if there's a hole in the wall, and of course it's sealed, you put a lamp there, the light kind of collects in that clove. So that's the chest of a believer. And the lamp and the glass is the heart of the believer. So clean, like a shining star. That is the heart of a believer. And the oil from this blessed tree that the sun never goes down upon, pure oil, it's about to ignite itself, is the fitrah. Does everyone understand what the fitrah is? That natural instinct that makes everyone believe. When we was on the mithaq, all our souls were taken out. Every human being from the beginning all the way to the day of judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, Alastu bi rabbikum? Qalu bala shahidna. And he said, am I not your Lord? And we all said, yes, we bear witness. After that, everyone is born with an inclination to believe in one God. That's why, as you may have heard many times, the atheist is drowning and he shouts, help me God. He shouts for God. Atheists, you work with them and they're having a hard day and they go, oh my God. If you don't believe in God, what are you talking about? This is what the fitrah is. And fitrah can be manipulated, it can be tainted, yes? But the fitrah of a believer is ready to acknowledge the truth. So pure, it knows it's the truth, and it's ready to accept the truth, to acknowledge the truth. It's pure, it's good, it's sincere. And then, that's one nur. So that's the nur of the fitrah. Then the other nur comes, which is what? Revelation. So we have this chest with this heart, clean, pure, the oil in it, the fitrah is pure, believing in one God, looking for the truth sincerely, and then the revelation comes to hear about Islam. Then they mix just with the fire, like the fire mixes the oil. When the truth comes to these pure people, straight away, Nurun ala Nur. The Nur of fitrah is in the heart. The Nur of revelation comes. The Quran, the revelation, knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His guidance, Iman, belief, all come together in his heart. This is what I believe. I knew this was always the truth, always. This is what Nurun ala Nur is. All of this, just like the light is gathered in this clove, and it's shining everywhere, just like this, Nurun ala Nur, light upon light. And so the light starts like from the wick, that you have. Some said mishkatun means the wick, the part that you burn on the candles on the top. This is called the wick. And it starts from there, and then it begins to grow. And then it shines greater, lighter. Just like that, a believer is. And he starts to practice, and there's nur in his heart of iman, of guidance, of knowledge. And then he acts upon that. And then the light goes to his face, like we see many people, mashallah, especially in Ramadan, they have nur on their face, yes, trying hard. And then they continue striving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, acting upon the truth that has come to them, and then it goes to their limbs. So this light, and when we see light, we don't mean like this, we don't like a switch that goes on and off. It's kind of nur that people have in their face. Good people, righteous people, scholars and so on. And then it goes to their limbs. And it spreads like this. And it said about the Prophet ﷺ, one of the Sahaba looked at the Prophet ﷺ on a night with a full moon. And he said, I looked at the moon, I looked at the Prophet ﷺ, then I looked at the moon, I looked at the Prophet ﷺ. He did that a few times, and he said the Prophet ﷺ's face was brighter than the full moon. That's what nur is. And remember, many miracles happened in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, so this is nothing big or surprising. And it would be as if the alleyway in front of him, or the path in front of him, was enlightened by that nur. Allahu alam. And of course, this means reminders as well. It's not just disbelievers who are pure in fitrah, waiting for the truth sincerely, but believers as well. When a reminder comes, then the reminder benefits the believers. The fire touches that heart which is already believing, already willing to act upon the truth. So when knowledge comes to it, nur ala nur. They're willing to act and follow upon that knowledge. يَهْدِ اللَّهُ لِنُورِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides to his light whom he wills, because this is not for everyone. It's for those who are sincere and who really want the truth, those who are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they will be grateful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, showing him who the truth is. يَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالِ لِلنَّاسِ. So it gives an example to the people that we may understand according to our logic as humans, according to our limited capability. Wallahu bi kulli shay'in alim, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. He knows who is deserving of it or not. So we may look at someone and think he's a disbeliever, he's so good, but Allah knows what's inside them, things that we know, and Allah guides who are deserving of guidance. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are grateful and are deserving of his guidance, and take us to him in a state of iman. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the intrinsic details of every single person. So the nur of Islam, it won't be for a disbeliever. Just like that, it won't be for munafiqeen who lied upon Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, who pretended to be Muslim, but really they were non-Muslims. And we all need this nur. Not only in this life, we need this nur in the hereafter. Allah waliyyu alladhina yukhrijuhum min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ally of those people who takes out of the darkness into the guidance, out of disbelief into belief, out of misguidance to guidance. And this life is something that we need when it comes to nur, yes? But munafiqeen, they don't care about that. What they care about is safety. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was safety being with the Muslims. They may have been a tribe, so they say, let's pretend we're Muslim, just to get the safety. If anyone fights them now, the Muslims will take it as an attack on them. And the Muslims won't attack them now either. And they started to attack villages and so on, tribes around Medina. So by doing that, they would gain safety. Also monetary benefits, the spoils of war. When they went to war, they would get their share of the spoils of war. Also, they would get the rights of the Muslims. They would marry other Muslim women. They would marry each other, whether they are munafiqeen from the women or the men. And from the women, I don't know any names, no names come to my mind of the munafiqat, but there are munafiqat. They would marry the Muslims and get the rights of inheritance as well, which the non-Muslims don't in Sharia, which is another subject altogether. So they get all these benefits. So they pretended to be Muslims. Even one of them mocked. And remember, they're deceiving the Muslims. يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ. They think they deceived Allah and the Muslims, but they do not deceive anyone except themselves. There was one person who said to the Prophet ﷺ, وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَا وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ. When he went to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, we believe. And when he went back to him, وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ, he went to his own tribe, own friends, he said, I don't really believe. I was mocking. Allah yastahzi'u bihim wa yamudduhum fi tughyanihim ya'maun. Allah mocks them and increases them in their transgression and sinfulness, their transgression, and they wander blindly. What did he do? He said, I'm a Muslim, and between two mountains, a valley full of sheep, he took it. And when he went back to his tribe, his friends, and they were thinking, what's going on? He said, no, I ain't a Muslim. I was just mocking. And Allah says about that person, imagine that, being that person, how big trouble you would be in. Allah yastahzi'u bihim wa yamudduhum fi tughyanihim ya'maun. And so they used to show that the Muslims saw monetary benefits, yet there will be a day. What is this deceit? How are they deceiving themselves? There will be a day where it's going to be really bad for them. You might even nearly feel sorry for them. Just like they used to trick the Muslims and wander with them. You've probably heard that the Muslims and the disbelievers will be separated. But what happens to the munafiqeen? You've probably heard that hadith when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows himself to the believers, they all bow down, but the munafiqeen, they won't be able to bow down. But what happens after that? It's not nice. Not nice for them. يوم ترى المؤمنين والمؤمنات يسعى نورهم بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم. For the believers, there'll be a place where they'll get a light. And you know what? The munafiqeen will be with them. They will be given a light. And بأيمانهم, they'll get their books in their right hands. And of course, the ones who failed the exam will get their books in their left hands or behind them. And some said it will be in their left hands, and the left hands will be twisted behind their backs. The munafiqeen will walk with the believers when they get this nur from a certain place. And remember, it's all dark now. Day of judgment, it's all dark. You don't know where to step. But those who are given this nur, they will know where to go, because by this nur, this light, they will see. بشراكم اليوم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها ذلك هو الفوز العظيم. We said, good tidings today. Well done, basically. You will get gardens with which under rivers flow. Whether you will abide eternally, that is a great attainment. What will happen is people will get a different amount of lights. Some will have it on their face, some people's lights, يَسْعَى بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ. Yeah, it will be shooting ahead in front of them. Yeah, they will be able to see as far as their eyes can see. Yeah, shooting in front of them. Some will have less. And the hypocrites will follow this group of believers thinking they are safe. They deceived Allah and the believers on that day. It's their turn to be deceived. And that's not a nice place to be. And so when they are walking with these Muslims, some will be given less light than others, and some will be given some just on their big toe, and it flutters, turns on and off just on their big toe. Some said this is the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. Some said it's those who are weak iman. Wallahu alam, it could be the hypocrites. And they will walk with this light, using this nur, until they get to a barrier. A barrier which has a door in it. And everyone who has light has the pass. Where's your pass? The nur, in you go. The munafiqeen don't have nur. They will not have their pass. For those, even if the big toe, even if that was given to the hypocrite at that time, it will be extinguished fully. No pass for them. And the believers will go in. And the hypocrites will stay out. They will say, يوم يقول المنافقون والمنافقات للذين آمنوا انظرونا نقتبس من نوركم. That day, when the munafiqeen and the munafiqat, the women and the men, hypocrites, will say, للذين آمنوا انظرونا نقتبس من نوركم. Wait for us. Calm down. Not so fast. Wait. Give us some of your light. Give us some of your light. Wait for us, let us take some of your light. قِيلَ ارْجِعُوا وَرَاءَكُمْ فَالْتَمِسُوا نُورًا. They will say, the believers to the hypocrites, go back there where we got the light from, and go seek your light over there. The munafiqeen will go back, and they won't find anything there. Of course, that's it. Shops closed, however you want to put it. There's no nur for them anyway. And they go back to that barrier where the believers could come into.
فضرب بينهم بسور له باب باطنه فيه الرحمة وظاهرة من قبله العذاب وظاهرة من قبله العذاب. And a wall will be placed between them. The door, the barrier, it has a door. A wall will be placed between them. The door will be closed, sealed. Everyone who's inside, meaning the believers, ar-Rahmah, mercy for them. Everyone outside, min qiblihi al-'adhab. They will have a punishment. And some said, and then like a fortress will be put there to protect the believers, and everyone outside from the hypocrites will then get the adhab. You see how they tricked us, pretended to be Muslims, and then on that day they will regret that, because they will be tricked just like they tricked the Muslims. يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُم. They deceive Allah and the believers, but they don't deceive except to themselves. يُدَادُونَهُمْ عَلَمْنَكُمْ مَعَكُمْ. They will actually say to them, were we not with you? And they will say, وَلَا نَعَمْ. They will say, بَلَا. They will say, yes. وَلَكِنَّكُمْ فَتَنْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Yes, but you inflicted yourselves with fitna. فَتَنْتُمْ, with enjoyment, sins and desires. They were full of doubts. وَتَرَبَّسْتُمْ. You waited for us. They were waiting for trials and tribulations for the Muslims, because they were happy about that. They wanted them to fall mistakes, and they used to rejoice upon that, become happy about that. وَارْتَبْتُمْ, and you doubted. In this book that has لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, no doubt in it. وَغَرَّتْكُمُ الْأَمَانِيُّ حَتَّى جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ وَغَرَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغُرُّ. And until you were deluded by wishful thinking, and you were deluded until Allah's amr came, His command came, which is what? Death. You were deceived until death came. وَرَاكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغُرُّ. And the deceiver deceived you, meaning the shaitan deceived you. فَالْيَوْمَ لَا يُؤْخَذُ مِنْكُمْ فِدْيَةٌ وَلَا مِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مَأْوَاكُمُ النَّارُ هِيَ مَوْلَاكُمْ وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ. And this day no ransom will be received from you. I'm just going to summarize it, inshallah. Meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another verse, that indeed those who disbelieve and die while they are disbelievers, never would the whole earth worth of gold be taken from them as ransom. And another opinion, of course, it will be the Sirat, where they have the light, and the light will be gone. And when they say, let us take from your nur, نَقْتَبِسْ مِن نُورِكُمْ, they will say this, so what they will mean is, look towards us so we can see where we're going. And the believers will say, go back and get your nur. Some of Mufassirin said it's kind of a mockery to them. Yeah, you used to lie to us and delude us. Go back. I mean, go back as in come back to this world and live a life of righteousness, which of course is impossible to do on that day. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who are sincere. وَلَا الظُّلُمَاتُ وَلَا النُّورُ. Yani, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَعْمَى وَالْبَصِيرُ. وَلَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَعْمَى وَالْبَصِيرُ. It is not equal, the ones who see and the ones who are blind. وَلَا الظُّلُمَاتُ وَلَا النُّورُ. And neither the darkness to the light. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be of those who have nur, to have this nur in this day, in this world, and in the hereafter. To take us in a state of Iman, Islam and Iman, that we have Iman in our hearts, and that He raises us with the believers as believers, and that we stay in the state of belief, and that He takes us in the state of belief, and that He resurrects us in the state of belief, and that He puts us into Jannah with the believers. Ameen. ونكتفي بهذا وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بارك الله فيكم وجزاكم الله خيرا.